it? Did you have a bit of dinner with gravy on? It's gravy season, isn't it? I hope you've had a gorgeous Sunday. Thanks for being here. We are gathering to talk about reading, and in primary we've been working for donkey's years at building a culture where children and adults can live and breathe in a school where we really feel this is a we love reading school, and we've been working hard with that for yonks. Tonight is really beyond that. It's about the nitty gritty of the teaching and learning exchange around reading. This is going to be a really important session, actually, and we're really going to get under the skin of sharpening up our practice so that our reading is much clearer and explicit. Our reading teaching is clearer and explicit. I'm not here on my own. I'm here with my husband. We have been happily married just about, with all our technical issues, haven't we, Ian, for nearly 30 years. Ian is managing the live chat tonight on the Sunday sessions, and I know there are tons of you from Twitter. You are really welcome. Welcome to all the people who are there from Facebook, and there is others. Instagram. I mean, we don't mean to leave you out, but we can't seem to hoof you in at the minute. But I'm also on YouTube, and I know a lot of you like to rewind me and play me back again, and hit me up in a staff meeting. You do you, honeys. Brilliant. Ian, is your mic working this week, honey bunch?
Well, I'm hoping so. We have had a lot of technical glitches, actually, over the last few weeks. If I had hair, I'd be pulling it out. It reminded me, actually, tonight, because it was all going swimmingly well, then things started to go a little bit wayward. This is the problem with doing it live. If we was to pre-record it, we could chop it up, it could look really slick. But it reminded me of a time where I brought 6 5-week-old French bulldog puppies into a reception class. It was mental. If you're absolute mayhem. Anyway, so yeah, that's what it's like, a bit like here. I am trying to chat on X, Twitter as well, but if you're on Facebook or YouTube, talk in the chat, I will respond, and hopefully we'll get to it. It's a real cracker of a session tonight. Jane's going to be sort of going heavily into the meaning-making mind maps. It's very interesting, very funny. Hopefully you'll get loads out of it. Do let us know. Speak to me in the chat, please.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah, do speak to him. He does speak back. The jokes are endless there, aren't they, with puppies and 4-year-olds in a classroom? But yeah, you insert the jokes. Right, okay. Tonight is all about the meaning-making mind map, but there's a few little things that I just want to kind of explore before we get there. I don't know if you've ever read this line by James Russell Lowell, the poet. I just think it's so beautiful. Books are the bees which carry the quickening pollen from one to another mind. Oh yeah, I mean, it's words for me. It really is. I can really, I lose myself in them, and that just really captures it for me. That sense of when we read, we're going beyond the words, and we're lifting those words, turning them into images in our mind, and this real, kind of locking into what is the state of affairs. Yeah, that's what reading's all about. We're constantly checking in with ourselves. What is the state of affairs here as I read this text? Essentially, that's what we're going to be talking about. Lots of different affairs, it seems. Now, the meaning-making mind map is about children kind of connecting with the content and then drawing down the key content and making connections between these kind of key chunks of information. Now, it's really important, and I see this as a really important part of my kind of CPD role with all of you guys, is that we don't, we let the science lead us, illuminate our way, but by the end of it, we need kind of a practical pathway that we can take straight into the classroom and make a difference where it matters. And that's what tonight is going to be about. So where are we in terms of fitting it all in, you know, time being the most precious commodity of all. And I've been talking a lot about this ring-fenced half an hour of time. You know, this is, you know, in addition to promoting the pleasure principle of reading and a class reader and that space just to let language wash over them, this is this dedicated teaching and learning part where we're really focusing on reading to learn. Now, where are we? Well, please goodness, you've been watching this as a little series. If not, make sure you... Oh, that's okay. So here, we've got book talk was session 1, and we have 2.5 hours of that. Last week...
sorry about that, everybody. Jane, do you mind just...
I'll just link.
Oh, right, we're back in the game.
We're back in the game. If
Sorry
you...
about that. You just froze.
It's all right. It's all right. I could probably do with a bit of freezing. You know what I mean? I've got to that sort of neck age. Needs a bit of freezing, I think. Yeah, honestly, if you could see behind the scenes the amount of wires we've got, yeah, and Valium. Yeah, it's all happening here, let me tell you. Okay, reading. So... there's this profile of sort of a journey of how we want to shape up children's thinking. And already make sure you rewind and watch Book Talk, where we can get so far in deep thinking about books without picking up a pencil or a pen. And that is really important, that we kind of help them find the joy of reading and talking about books. Those are the two weekly, you know, happening twice a week. They're the book talk sessions. Last week we talked about big picture and the 64 studies that really put kind of summarising what we're reading, you know, the big stuff, right up there in strong and exceptional evidence that this is really important for kids, that they're able to kind of, I suppose, do that sort of zoom out almost above the reading, you know, what is going on. But tonight is going to be this half an hour where we get them to... begin to go into more detail, but it's like how they interconnect what they're reading. And I'm going to explain exactly what I mean. Everything I'm going to talk about tonight comes from an exemplar, and just to keep it the same so we don't lose our own thinking, I'm going to stick with Year 5 narrative here, and we're looking at Catherine Rundell's wonderful book The Wolf Wilder. But I tell you that so that you go and download the 6 reading schemes of work going from Year 1 all the way to Year 6 that exemplify this process. And we've got 10,000 people in our reading unit plan family, and that's growing all the time, because actually just hitting children with comprehension questions is not the way to improve reading standards. It needs a very explicit and different approach. Yes, questions can be a part of a profile of thinking like a reader. That's what we want to foster from them.
How do they find it though?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Mr. C. We've got look, we've got a QR code. You hold up your phone, you open up your camera, you click on that QR code, and that will take you straight to the www. How many W's? Don't know. Lost. JaneConsidine.com, and you can download your free plans there. And actually, there are hundreds to unlock as well. Okay, right. Now, this half an hour is broken into 3 discrete sections. And the first section is a 5-minute read again. So we've got the same text, it's coming back, and why? It's what I said last week, but I'm going to say it again. Bold and underlined. Children need to get their mouth around words. We need to see that they're able to track texts at first with their finger until we can be certain that they're doing it effectively with their eyes. We need them to listen along to really good models by us where we're reading with expression. And we know that repeated reading is top drawer fluent strategy, and the research for that is ironclad. Now, so 5 minutes, we are amazing readers, and I'm just going to tune you in again. I know you've heard it from me before, but it's also important for us on an adult level to hear it again. I'm not going to read all of the text, but I'm going to read this little moment because this text is going to serve as our reason for me to explain the meaning-making mind map. How you doing over there, Ian? You look a bit stressed.
Yeah, no, all good.
You're just untangling some stuff.
No, all good.
Are
I'm
you
trying
all
to
right?
balance everything.
He is balancing everything. You're doing ever so well, honey. Okay, the Wolf Wilder. Once upon a time, 100 years ago, there was a dark and stormy girl. The girl was Russian, and although her hair and eyes and fingernails were dark all of the time, she was stormy only when she thought it absolutely necessary, which was fairly often. Her name was Fyodora. She lived in a wooden house made of timber taken from the surrounding forest. The walls were layered with sheep's wool to keep out the Russian winter, and the inside was lit with hurricane lamps. Theo had painted the lamps every colour in her box of paints, so the house cast out light into the forest in reds and greens and yellows. Her mother had cut and sanded the door herself, and the wood was 8 inches thick. Theo had painted it snow blue. The wolves had added claw marks over the years, which helped dissuade unwelcome visitors. It all began, all of it, with someone knocking on the snow blue door. Although knocking was not the right word for this particular noise, Theo thought. It sounded as though someone was trying to dig a hole in the wood with his knuckles. Okay, so there's a reread, and if we feel that the children are capable, they can have a go at reading parts as well, but we get that read again as another layer of them connecting with the text. Now, after that 5-minute read, the next 2 sections break down into a 15-minute chunk of time and a 10-minute chunk of time, and I'm going to talk about those 2 chunks in this session. Now, this first chunk that lasts for 15 minutes, this is a bang-on metacognitive strategy. In fact, I call the reading unit plans a whole little parcel of metacognitive techniques, because we're really trying to make reading thinking more visible through our modelling and through our work with texts. In many ways, the meaning making mind map is it's like little necklaces of noticing that we're interconnecting for children. So and the more interconnections that happen, it will really shine bright like little diamonds for them, and they'll have kind of a clearer sense of what's going on. And then later, I'm going to talk about what happens in the final 10 minutes, where we check in with them as a reader. Because you've been through this process of interconnected thinking about this text, what is your reading brain thinking now? But I'll explain that. Okay, so first things first. From who?
Puvandri Jansen.
I'll put your mic on, Ian.
I hope. Yeah, I'm just saying a comment from Puvandri Jansen. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. Who said that they've used the following finger this week, noticed that their students were accurate in their reading.
Oh my goodness, that's just such an amazing comment. I was teaching last week and getting year 6 children to show me their following finger and, track more closely and, say, look, they don't have to use it all the time if they were good at eye tracking. But it's so interesting how children can lose a handle on the text, or even just if it's their own writing, you ask them to read back their work and they they kind of lose that sense of what they should be doing. So honestly, it makes such a difference, and that's great to hear that your kids are bang on accurate. Yeah, well, they really are as well if you insist on it. Thank you for that comment. Hey, that feels a bit less lonely, doesn't it, Mr. C?
Yes.
Well, we love it. We love it when you talk to us. We really do. Okay, right. So now, I've said this already very casually, but I do mean it, that when we're working with reading and drawing down a mind map, it is really kind of this sense of the state of affairs. What is happening and what's going on and what is the important stuff. And if you want to find out more about, working in this way, really do look up the work of Zvan and Radvansky, all about language comprehension. And if you want to go even further, and I know some of you have found the Teacher Squad podcast that I deliver with my wonderful professional friend Heather from Reading Rocks. We interviewed Nathaniel Hansford, and he's got a meta-analysis collection about the scientific principles of reading instruction, and this you can do no wrong really by having this in your CPD Bible, kind of as a pathway for, well, what are some of the best things to do when it comes to teaching reading. Okay.
I'll try and find that podcast and put the link in.
Oh, yeah, do put that podcast link in. Now, me and Heather love doing that podcast, and it was like a love affair for a year. And then, I don't know, I think she might be sleeping with somebody else. Scurrilous. No, I just think we just got a little bit, we couldn't keep the affair going, but it doesn't mean we'll never work again together. At any point we might that might just be another meeting of minds. But yeah, that Ian's going to put the link in there, but and just finding that podcast is kind of a year's worth of listening, an academic year, a teacherly year. Gorge.
It's called the Teacher Squad podcast.
It's called the Teacher Squad podcast. Thank you, Ian. We blossomed in for a year, and we might we might go again. Who knows? Right. So let's. Oh yeah, well.
Just as each. Yeah.
So the meaning making mind map. What is it all about? Every single plan includes blanks, completed examples. And why do we want children to work like this? Well, there's so many reasons. First of all, it provides a very clear it's a visual representation strategy. So it means that when we're reading, it's like, what do we have to draw down? And I'll give you an example in a moment. The other thing that we're trying to do is make reader thinking really, really visible, because sometimes children can get swamped under the text. They can, a bit like us as adults as well, you can zone out while you're reading, can't you? You can sometimes be thinking about something else and just think, hold on a minute, I've got to go back a couple of pages. I've lost, what I'm reading there. Actually being an active reader takes some concentration. But we have to help them know what to be thinking about, as they read. Is this important? Are we supposed to be remembering this? They need a lot of help with that. The other thing, it needs to be a very active process, and this sort of collection of stuff. And actually, as it's happening in real time, it then is this going to be relevant? Well, it might be, it might not. And as we build this mind map, we might say, oh, that's a bit of a red herring, or we chuck it in the bin. It's not very important at all. But then other things become increasingly important, become quite a big idea. It's constructed during reading. So even though we are marking it down with them and making it very visible, what we actually want them to do as they get more adept at this is that, they can take on making these kind of mind map jottings themselves, but then they become really skilled at reading. They can hold it almost in their mind. We model it and we update it all the time as a teacher, and we show them the way. We're always prioritising information, and we are seeking interconnections. Is this related to this? So that's the why we do it. But we probably need now a bit of a practical example, which I'm going to go through in relation to the Wolf Wilder. So let's just do a bit of a rewind back to the text and this sort of building live in the moment. So I'm going to do a reread here. The Wolf Wilder. Once upon a time, 100 years ago, there was a dark and stormy girl. The girl was Russian, and although her hair and eyes and fingernails were dark all of the time, she was stormy only when she thought it absolutely necessary, which was fairly often. Her name was Theodora. Now, in terms of a mind map, key information, I am going to make a note here that the core part of this is about Theodora. Now, I can make some other jottings here. Key information. She's a girl, and she's Russian. It says there explicitly, the girl was Russian. So let me write those very key bits of information. I feel like I can put them together. Now, this wonderful line here, dark and stormy girl, I'm just going to write dark and stormy. Now, the point of a mind map is not to quote directly from the text, but I just think dark and stormy, we would remember that when reading. And this sort of, when is she dark and stormy? Well, it's really interesting here because Catherine Rundell says her fingernails were dark. So this sense that she's outside a lot, outdoorsy person, getting her hands dirty. She's got lots of kind of grit and grime under her nails. So it's not that sort. And then her hair and eyes, that's almost like her colouring. But she was stormy only when she thought it absolutely necessary. So it's this idea that she's often stormy. And that sort of, it feels like, like personality, storm, it's a bit big emotions. I'm saying that she might get angry easily. And then this little red group here, this all feels, it's all about kind of her personality. Yeah. So we get quite a lot in a short space of time. Now, if I read on, here, I'm just going to read a little bit more. She lived in a wooden house made of timber taken from the surrounding forest. So I'm just going to write down here that she lived in a wooden house. Yeah. I don't know if that's really relevant. I know it's relevant that she lives in a forest. Now I'm going to carry on reading. The walls were layered with sheep's wool to keep out the Russian winter, so it's really cold. And the inside was lit with hurricane lamps. Theo had painted the lamps every colour in her box of paints, so the house cast out light into the forest in reds, greens and yellows. Now I'm feeling like this is the writer telling us that she's very kind of practical and hands-on. So I'm going to put this is not to do down here with forest. This is her, look, she painted the hurricane lamps. She's kind of artsy, crafty, practical. I'm going to carry on reading. Here, her mother had cut and sanded the door herself. So look, her mum's quite handy, and she lives with her mum. Right, so she lives in the front. What are we going to put here? With her mum. With your mum. No, it's her mum. With mum, that'll do. And then let's carry on reading here. The mother had cut and sanded the door herself, and the wood was 8 inches thick. Theo had painted it snow blue. So not only she'd painted the lamp, she painted the door. Yeah, this is very kind of, I'm going to put here, so this is almost like personality, the red stuff, the green stuff is also like the, practical sort of side to her, what she likes to do. And then if I carry on reading, the wolves had added claw marks over the years, which helped dissuade unwelcome visitors. So now there's this sense that some visitors are unwelcome. Now, expert readers are doing this in their head and it's not visible, but young, primary age children need to know the thinking process of reading, and we need to reveal that to them. We know metacognition is the top drawer strategy, the game-changing progress strategy for teaching and learning, and this is hidden to children unless we show it to them. And once we can show them, we take down this key information and we kind of group it and interconnect it, we get this growing sense of what's happening. We've got children who are actually very good readers, kind of phonetically strong, and sometimes have quite good fluency. But when you say to them, what have you just read? can you tell me? Sometimes they're lost. They're lost in the source of the reading, and we've got to make it explicit to them what their reading brain should be doing at that moment and how they should be thinking about texts. So I want to really reveal that to children, and so that this can become more instinctive for them. So yeah, the meaning making mind map is actually a moment by moment process, and the interconnections is what makes us very detective like as a teacher. Actually, talking of detectives, have you been watching Ludwig? Oh, that's good. Who's in Ludwig, Ian?
David.
David, yeah.
Who was in Peep Show.
Oh yeah, David from Peep Show. What is his surname? Can't remember. But Ludwig is good. There's a bit of detective work going on there. Really, really good. That's a definite watch. This reminds me of thinking like a detective when my best friend's husband was having.
David Mitchell.
Mitchell. Probably it's good that I've stopped telling that story about my friend's friend who was having an affair. Anyway, we became very good detectives, collecting information, interconnecting it. Anyway. God, what's her name? It's all right, I've changed her name to protect her. Great.
I'll tell you who else in that show.
Is your mic on, Ian? They can't hear you unless your mic's on. Put your mic on, Ian, then I can have a drink.
Who else is in
Is
that
your mic
show?
on, Ian?
Is Anna Maxwell Martin, who was in.
Anna Maxwell Martin. And I've seen you on Twitter saying I look like her, and I love her, so that's bloody brilliant.
What was that show in that she was in?
Is your mic on?
Yeah.
Flip me back to my mic then.
You're on the mic, yeah, but what show was it? Do you remember what it was called?
No.
Where she was the mum. What was the show called?
Oh, you're getting in my brain now, Ian. I'm trying to concentrate. So, that is 15... Thank you, Ian. That is 15 minutes of clarity of thinking where we're modelling it, it might be over the year that changes in terms of how we work with it. Like we're doing lots of explicit modelling and children are chipping in, and it's kind of very collegial and together, and they'll have a go, and it might be a part populated mind map, and they find other bits to interconnect onto it, and as the years go on they take on more and more of a role in pairs, in bigger groups even. I definitely wouldn't go more than 4 in a mixed attainment group, but building maps together from reading from the key stuff. Yeah, okay. Do you all get that? I hope you do. The plans are very clear. So if you come into the reading plan family, there's lots of completed maps for you to see and then consider what your children would need. They could have a part populated one, or one that is completely empty, and it could be adjusted to where your children are. Okay, so that's that 15 minutes. So you've used 20 minutes of a half an hour session, and you've got 10 minutes left. Now, what this 10 minutes is about is all of that graft, all of that hard thinking to draw down these key bits and how they're living together. It then is, well, look, what are you thinking now? What is your reading brain thinking now? Because you've been through this meaning-making mind map process, that actually you are left with a kind of a brighter sense of what's happening. Can you now explain what you're thinking now as a reader. And because we are expertly and explicitly articulating what we can draw down now following that, we're always trying to be sharper in our reading thinking. So let me give you an example. So we've gone through the mind map process. We are now more certain what we are reading. So now I'm going to kind of almost sort of summarize it again, but with a bit more insight. So Theo, also known as Theodora, lives in a wooden hut, a wooden house, a wooden house with her mum. I keep writing, why do I do that? With her mum in a forest in Russia, She has a dark and stormy personality. It was just a stormy personality, actually. She has a stormy personality. And I'm going to put in brackets here what I think that might means. She has a stormy personality, sort of erratic, and easily angers. I think, and like her mum, because we also had evidence of mum sanding the wooden door as well. Like her mum is a dab hand at home improvement, and like her mum is practical. Some visitors are unwelcome. This sort of foreshadowing of something bad is going to happen because we do ultimately get an unwelcome guest. But the mind map means that this is sharper. And what this can be in the classroom is, again, we can show different drawing down of, look, we did this mind map. Now I'm thinking this. Is this better than this? Is this clearer than that? We can knock it into shape kind of collegially in the class. Different groups can have a go, and we can vote for the sort of shining bright like a diamond one. Summary and metacognition are just the top draw strategies for reading. And that's why our practice can't ever be too far away from that. You also know, and we've been talking a lot about this in primary schools, that the more knowledge they know, the better they're going to be at reading and writing. And of course, we've got this sort of interplay happening that one causes the other, because actually children need certain knowledge. And we talked about that last week, didn't we, with lots of kind of photographs, key facts, context, contextual clarification. What is a Russian winter? Minus 40, that's pretty damn cold. What is a hurricane lamp? It's an oil lamp and it's got glass, and that's why she can paint that glass and it then can cast the light. And knowledge begets comprehension. So, it kind of, the more knowledge you've got, this can kind of cause comprehension, and from reading and comprehending well, you get more knowledge. So you've got this perpetual loop. Readers are finding more out about the world from reading, and the biggest thing we know from the science of reading that they find out is empathy from others because of their sort of their state of affairs, as it were. keep saying affair a lot, Ian. Are you worried? I hope so. Keep you on your toes. He's not worried. He's just chatting to somebody on Twitter, I think. Yeah, that's not a real laugh at me joke. That's him thinking, get on with it. Right, okay. So we go through the meaning-making mind map process. This is modelled crystal clear to the children. They get better and better at that as the year develops. And then after the meaning-making mind map, they check in with their thinking again. What are you thinking now? And they kind of summarise again. And their thinking is constantly updated and refined through more reading until they kind of get this fully fleshed out mental model, you know. And that's why I just love teaching reading, because there's this kind of class community sense that, yeah, we get it. You know, we get this, and this kind of whole class approach, you know, you're going to get from me 2 types of reading teaching. The differentiated type, that book in front of you, you can access it and you can talk about it, and you're on your own, but I'm checking in with what you're reading. And this other strong dynamic whole class teaching that has kind of this crystal clear sense of what the hell we should be doing when we're thinking about text as we read. Okay, so in every reading unit plan, you get a what is my reading brain now thinking? And this is a version of something that can be drawn down. Yeah, and that is there for you as a teacher to guide your thinking, and you can adapt these and you can make them your own, but they are a wireframe for you to take straight into the classroom and make them work. So we have got tons of reading unit plans that link to history and geography and science and all the stuff in the national curriculum that we've got to deliver on. We've also got texts that are in the empathy lab, or we've chosen because they're just delicious and nutritious. We've got
I think there's 220 plans down.
What? 220 plans for you to access and download. And just recently we put 10 new reading units into your library, and we're constantly updating that library all the time. If you want to find out more about the reading unit plans, contact us at info. Oh, I'll write this one down actually, because it can be a tricky one. Info at thetrainingspace.co.uk. And I know that Ian, who has developed the reading unit plans with me, a teacher, helps me all the time in my life with teaching children. He can help you understand the reading unit plans. You know, if you get in contact, you can have a free consultancy call with Ian, who is very kind-hearted and loves helping people kind of understand the nitty-gritty of stuff. Great. You're happy to do that, aren't you, Ian? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. And that's it. You know, I want to say thank you to everybody who's already found the reading unit plans. I love the feedback about how this is changing, improving, switching up practice. And I need you to tune me in with a date, Mr. C, as well.
For
What I said earlier, remember?
it's
yeah.
the 10th of November.
Great.
Because we've got half term coming up and
Okay.
doing too much.
So, I'm not here next week. Now, it might say I am, but I am not. I'm going to get inebriated, and it's half term, and I've made a life decision to chill out. So I'm not here next Sunday. So if you're watching live, I'm going to be back on at 7:30 doing a Sunday session on the 10th of November. And that last session is going to be all about demonstration comprehension, that we actually show children how to shape up a comprehension answer, and how do we do that? How do we model that? How do we make that work? So that's going to be happening on the 10th of November. But what I wanted to say as a final little moment, you know, this session was really all about us navigating their thinking and showing them how to draw down key information and connect it. We need to mould their reading brains to the really important stuff, and I hope you've got that message loud and clear from me tonight. Mr. C, is there any other comments?
No,
or any? We're all good. Brilliant. Well, it's always a pleasure. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. Sleep well tonight. Enjoy them tomorrow. And I'll see you on the 10th of November. See you then, everybody.